Hello there, Bookish besties. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for the video that I have prepped for you guys today. I really just want to dive in because we are going to talk all things that we currently know about Sunrise on the Reaping, Haymitch's story from the Hunger Games. Now, Suzanne Collins does not write until she has something to say. So, Susie, I'm listening. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, get all comfy, grab your blanket, grab your favorite soda or drinky drink of choice. Actually, not even a soda. This is a freaking Olipop. LOL. But let's get comfy and let's dive in and let's talk theories and what we know and what we think we're going to find out in Sunrise on the Reaping. Comes out March 18th. Very short intro today as I just really want to get started. I'm so excited. Hunger Games has been my favorite franchise since I was like 13 years old. Now as an adult, it only compares to like Throne of Glass as my very top two absolute favorite franchises. And I really love that Suzanne is giving us more content. I wanted it, never asked for it because I know she's going to deliver when she wants to deliver. And the fact that Lionsgate said, a new book, Suzanne? Okay, movie rights done. You're welcome. Just because everything they've done has just been so good. And I have to give credit to Lionsgate to creating such incredible pieces of content that really reflect Suzanne's work and accurately depicts so much of the books and their significance and their meanings. I have my qualms, of course, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about Sunrise on the Reaping. This is Haymitch's Games from the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. Potential, real spoilers if you have not read the Hunger Games series, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes potentially. So if you're not caught up in the books or you don't necessarily want to talk about what happens in the book, then maybe this video isn't for you. Now, my other disclaimer is that I'm only going to be discussing things that are officially printed and officially given to us. If there's any other leaks that the official Suzanne Collins publishers did not release to the public, I am not going to cover that in this video. So let's go ahead and let's dive in. We're going to talk about what we already know as far as setting, timelines, characters, what the story is going to really entail. Then we're going to talk about what we already know as far as the information we get from the books themselves. So Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. And then we're going to talk about my theories on what we're going to focus on in this story. What we already know, this book is going to be set during Haymitch's Games. That is 24 years before the start of the first series, Hunger Games, during the second quarter quell, also known as the 50th Hunger Games. Some key things we already know about the 50th Hunger Games is we know actually a lot about the arena, how it was double the tribute, so it was 2 guys and 2 girls from each district, 48 in total. And of course, we know that Haymitch wins. The novel is going to focus on Haymitch from his point of view and eventually how his backstory on how he became the man he is today and leads to mentor Katniss and Peeta and also just lead the rebellion in the Hunger Games franchise. This book is going to play with a bunch of different themes like implicit submission, the use of propaganda, and the overall control of a narrative. Suzanne Collins was really inspired by David Hume's idea and concept of how so many can be governed by so few. And the question, real or not real, that Katniss and Peeta ask themselves a lot, and it's a really big theme throughout Hunger Games trilogy. That question is also going to be super important in this book as well. Lionsgate is already signed on to release a movie of Songbird, of Sunrise on the Reaping, slotted for November of 2026. Francis Lawrence, who has directed the other Hunger Games movies, is set to direct the movie as of right now, which makes me really excited. I believe they're starting to work on production after the release of the book on March 18th. Collins continues to be really inspired by the use of propaganda and how one can manipulate and control a narrative. This is a theme that we've seen played throughout the entire Hunger Games series, in the original trilogy, yes, but also in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes with Snow learning how to do that himself. So it's going to be really interesting to dive into Haymitch's Games and figure out how the narrative is going to be manipulated and propaganda is going to be used within this time frame. Now, I will say that we have some excerpts from the first chapter of Sunrise on the Reaping. We also have the audiobook excerpt as well. And I've seen people leak photos online of various chapters, chapter 2 and such. But again, I'm only going to be covering what's been publicly released. I don't want to get into the heavy spoiler realm of things in case people want to be surprised for the book. I know I want to be surprised for the book. I don't mind reading the excerpts that are released by Barnes & Noble and Books A Million that the publishers have released, but I want to keep some things to myself. But with that being said, we already have some really big plot details that are given to us. Now, if you don't want to be completely spoiled, I understand. So I would go ahead and skip maybe the next 2 minutes. I'm going to release some information that was revealed in those excerpts that Barnes & Noble revealed. 3, 2. So as we know from the very first line of dialogue, it is Haymitch's birthday. Haymitch gets reaped on his birthday. That adds so many layers of context to who he is and how he becomes that we see him every reaping day just sloshed and hammered and drunk. And number 2 is the name of his girlfriend, Lenore Dove. And I think that name is really, really interesting because it's a double name, and we learned from Ballad, Songbird, and Snakes, the names of the covey are always double names and named after a song and color. And Lenore Dove, dove is a color. It's more of like that, light gray, whitish color. So I wonder if she's a member of the covey, was a member of the covey, or descendant from the covey that we saw in Ballad. Okay, welcome back, friends who didn't want to see those spoilers. Some more information that we get from the books themselves is we actually get Haymitch's full games. Chapter 14 of Catching Fire, we get Haymitch's full games from the POV of Katniss and Peeta. Now, I'm about to go in and read you guys that section of the book. If you do not want to see this, skip ahead to my theories section. Those timestamps will be down below for you guys who want to skip. And if you don't want to skip and you want to figure out what's going on or get a reminder of what the arena was like, here we go. All right, Catching Fire, I am on page 196. This is chapter 14. Obviously, I'm not reading the entire chapter. I'm just reading the relevant parts. So I'm starting on page 196. At this point, Katniss and Peeta already know they're going into the Court of Quell. They're going through and watching various tributes and victors win their games. So they're watching previous games, trying to figure out any information they can about the potential victors they're going to be up against in the all-star version of the Hunger Games. And they realize, oh, we've never seen Haymitch's games. They pull out the 50th, realize it's Haymitch, and just let's watch it. Let's see how we won. Haymitch's name is called Last of All. It's more of a shock to see him than my mother, young, strong, hard to admit, but he was something of a looker. His dark hair and curly, those gray seam eyes bright and even then dangerous. Oh, Peeta, you don't think he killed Maysilee, do you? I blurt out. I don't know why, I just can't stand the thought. With 48 players, I'd say the odds are against it. The chariot rides in which the District 12 kids are dressed in awful coal miners' outfits, and the interviews flash by. There's little time to focus on anyone, but since Haymitch is going to be the victor, we get to see one full exchange between him and Caesar Flickerman, who looks exactly as he does in his twinkling midnight blue suit, only his dark green hair, eyelids, and lips are different. So, Haymitch, what do you think of the games having 100% more competitors than usual? Asks Caesar. Haymitch shrugs. I don't see that much of a difference. They'll still be 100% as stupid as usual, so I figure my odds will be roughly the same. The audience bursts out laughing and Haymitch gives them half a smile. Snarky, arrogant, indifferent. Now it's the morning of the games, and they begin. We watch from the point of view of one of the tributes as she rises up through the tube from the launch room and into the arena. I can't help but give a slight gasp. Disbelief is reflected on the faces of the players. Even Haymitch's eyebrows lift in pleasure, although they almost immediately knit themselves back to a scowl. It's the most breathtaking place imaginable. The golden cornucopia sits in the middle of green meadow with patches of gorgeous flowers. The sky is azure blue with puffy white clouds. Bright songbirds flutter overhead, and by the sum of the tributes are sniffling, it must smell fantastic. An aerial shot shows the meadow stretches for miles. Far in the distance, in one direction, there seems to be a woods, and in the other, a snow-capped mountain. Beauty disorients many of the players because when the gong sounds, most of them seem like they're just trying to wake from a dream. Not Haymitch, though. He's at the cornucopia, armed with weapons and a backpack of choice supplies. He then heads for the wood before most of the others have stepped off their plates. 18 tributes are killed in the bloodbath that day. Others begin to die off as it becomes clear that almost everything in this pretty place, the luscious fruit dangling from the bushes, the water and the crystalline streams, and the scent of the flowers when inhaled too directly, is deadly poisonous. Only the rainwater and the food provided at the cornucopia are safe to consume. There's also a large, well-stocked career pack of 10 tributes scouring the mountain area for victims. Haymitch has his own trouble over in the woods, where the fluffy golden squirrels turn out to be carnivorous and attack in packs. The butterfly stings bring agony if not death, but he persists in moving forward, always keeping a distant mountain at his back. Maysilee Donner turns out to be pretty resourceful herself. For a girl who leaves the cornucopia with only a small backpack, she finds inside a bowl, some dried beef, and a blowgun with 2 darts. Making use of the readily available poison, she soon turns the blowgun into a deadly weapon by dipping the darts in lethal substances and directing them into her opponent's flesh. 4 days in, the picturesque mountain erupts in a volcano that wipes out another dozen players, including all but 5 of the career pack. With the mountain spewing liquid fire and the meadow offering no means of concealment, the remaining 13 tributes, including Haymitch and Maysilee, have no choice but to confine themselves to the woods. Haymitch seems bent on continuing in the same direction away from the now volcanic mountain, but a maze of tightly woven hedges forces him to circle back to the center of the woods, where he encounters 3 of the careers and pulls his knife. They may be much bigger and stronger, but Haymitch has remarkable speed and has killed 2 when the 3rd disarms him. The career is about to slit his throat when a dart drops from the ground. Maysilee Donner steps out of the woods. We live longer with 2 of us. Guess you just proved that, says Haymitch, rubbing his neck. Allies? Maysilee nods. And there they are, instantly drawn into one of those packs you'd be hard-pressed to break if you ever expect to go home and face your district. Just like Peeta and me, they do better together. Get more rest, work out a system to salvage more rainwater, fight as a team, and share the food from the dead tributes pack. But Haymitch is still determined to keep moving on. Why? Maysilee keeps asking, and he ignores her until she refuses to move any further without answer. Because it has to end somewhere, right? Says Haymitch. This arena can't go on forever. But what do you expect to find? I don't know, but maybe there's something we can use, he says. When they finally do make it to that impossible hedge, using a blowtorch from one of the dead careers packs, they find themselves on flat, dry earth that leads to a cliff. Far below you can see jagged rocks. That's all there is, Haymitch. Let's go back. No, I'm staying here. Alright, there's only 5 of us left. May as well say goodbye for now. Anyway, she says. I don't want it to come down to you and me. Okay, he agrees. That's all. He doesn't offer to shake her hand or even look at her as she walks away. Haymitch skirts along the edge of the cliff as if trying to figure something out. His foot dislodges a pebble and it falls into the abyss, apparently gone forever. But a minute later, as he sits to rest, the pebble shoots back up beside him. Haymitch stares as it, puzzled, and then his face takes on a strange intensity. He lobs the rock the size of his fist over and waits. When it flies back out and right into his hand, he starts laughing. That's when we hear Maysilee begin to scream. The alliance is over and she broke it off, so no one could blame him for ignoring her. But Haymitch runs for her anyway. He arrives only in time to watch the last flock of candy-pink birds equipped with long, thin beaks skewer her through the neck. He holds her hand while she dies, and all I can think of is Rue and how Katniss was too late to save her too. Later that day, another tribute is killed in combat, and a 3rd gets eaten by a pack of those fluffy squirrels, leaving Haymitch and a girl from District 1 to vie for the crown. She's bigger than he is, and just as fast when the inevitable fight comes. It's bloody and awful, and both have received what could be fatal wounds when Haymitch is finally disarmed. He staggers through the beautiful woods, holding his intestines in while she stumbles after him, carrying an axe that should deliver his final death blow. Haymitch makes a beeline for the cliff, and just as he reaches the edge, she throws the axe. He collapses on the ground, and it flies into the abyss. Now, weaponless as well, the girl just stands there, trying to staunch the flow of blood pouring from her empty eye socket. She's thinking perhaps that she can outlast Haymitch, who's starting to convulse on the ground. But what she doesn't know, and what he does, is that the axe will return. And when it flies back over the ledge, it buries itself in her head. The cannon sounds, her body is removed, the trumpets blow to announce Haymitch's victory. So right there, Chapter 14, Suzanne Collins lays it all out for us. And before I get into that, friends who might have skipped, hi, welcome back. This is the theories section. We are going to dive into some theories about what we can expect in the book Sunrise on the Reaping. Something to note about Haymitch's games. Yes, we got all full detail coverage from the chariots to the interviews to the games themselves. But something that I really heavily want to consider is the fact that we are seeing everything not only from Katniss and Peeta's point of view, well, really Katniss's point of view, but we're seeing it from the Capitol's point of view. This is Capitol producing, this is Capitol editing, and Capitol filming. So what was the story that the Capitol was pushing? What's that narrative the Capitol was creating and using as propaganda to alter the narrative to control the media? Let's think back to something as simple as The Bachelor. Love the Bachelor franchise. Well, I used to love the Bachelor franchise. Hannah Brown, favorite season, by far the best. It kind of went a little bit downhill after that. But something so important to note in the Bachelor franchise is the importance of how the producers write and film and edit that story. We know from interviews from past contestants that maybe like one day they're just having a breakdown over something and the producers film them crying, and all of a sudden they can put that crying clip somewhere else to make it seem like they're crying over the Bachelor or Bachelorette. You can see a recording taken out of context and put in a different narrative, creating this person to be a villain, to be the hero. It's all about the way they're edited and the way the producers are controlling the narrative of that story. And I just have to think that the Capitol was doing the exact same thing with these games. So we have the POV that the Capitol shows that Katniss watches, but that's going to be so different from the details that Haymitch's experience. Sure, maybe some things are going to be relatively the same. I'm sure the volcano is going to erupt. I'm sure these people are going to die the same way that they died, but we're not going to see the full story. And I'm so excited to see the full story. There's a moment also in Catching Fire, a little bit in the beginning, right after Gale has been whipped by the Peacekeepers for bringing in the turkey. Haymitch brings Gale right to Katniss's mother, and she gets to work. Katniss has noticed that looks like she knows exactly what she's doing, like she's done it before. Haymitch makes a comment to her that they're happening again. This implies that District 12 has had really strict laws and really strict whippings before Katniss's time, because Katniss doesn't remember any of that. Katniss then thinks like, oh, maybe this is something that mom used to do when she was my age and a lot younger. Katniss's mom and Haymitch are roughly the same age. Give or take a couple of years, they're in the same generation. Katniss's mom was in the reaping watching Haymitch get reaped. So if Katniss's mom was about Katniss's age when she was handling whippings, that would mean that's around the same time that Haymitch went into the games. We also know that from Mockingjay, it should be a spoiler, we all know this already, is that after the games, the Capitol saw what Haymitch did, using the force field the way that he did, as an act of rebellion. So to combat that, they killed all of Haymitch's loved ones, including his entire family and his girlfriend at the time. So it makes me wonder, that's the same time that the whippings increased, which is very coincidental to Katniss and Peeta with the berries. The whippings are increasing, and there's more control in District 12 after a semi-rebellious act in the arena. Also, I'm wondering if the districts had tried to have a revolution and have an uprising before, after the 50th games, and it just didn't go through. Whatever happened, the Capitol was able to snuff it out, snuff out that flame, snuff out that spark, and maybe it's because they didn't have someone to lead it, someone to be that face of the revolution to really bring people together. And that's why they were waiting on Katniss, because for the first time they had someone that everyone could agree was the face of the revolution. Just some thoughts. I also think that similar to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, there's going to be so much more to this book than just the games. There's so much more context to Haymitch's story, and the fact that we start at Reaping Day makes me think that we're not just going to get the games, but we're also going to get the aftermath of the games, and we're going to get that really tight control in 12 after the rebellion that Haymitch did in the arena. And I think we're going to get so much more than just the games content. Also in Ballad, we learned that the Heavensbee name was really big in the Capitol. There's Heavensbee Hall, which is where all of the events for the Academy took place. So that leads me to the belief that the Heavensbees have been in the Capitol for a while. Plutarch is about the same age as Haymitch during all of this, so I wonder if we are going to get a Plutarch Heavensbee in this book. And we're also going to see his origin stories and how they meet, because it seems kind of like them and Coin, them being Plutarch, Haymitch, and President Coin, are really leading the revolution in 13 in Mockingjay. But Plutarch had to start somewhere too. He had to get his insights somewhere from the capital to be able to rise up as a game maker as he did. So this is just my theory. My theory is that District 12 has no mentors, right? They have no victors to mentor Haymitch. He's the only one in District 12 to mentor Katniss and Peeta. So I wonder that they don't use Academy kids, because that worked so well the first time they did it in the 10th games. But I wonder if they have essential game maker interns of sorts, and they're the mentors as they're working their way to become game makers. That's their trek. That's exactly what Snow did. That's what I'm assuming Plutarch's going to do as Plutarch becomes head game maker in Catching Fire. So I'm wondering if Plutarch is paired with Haymitch and the other 3 tributes from District 12, and Plutarch, that's where he gets his seed for the revolution. And seeing Haymitch survive and how he did, that's what plants their seed and plants their friendship and plants their trust. I also think we're going to get more insight to the origin of the Mockingjay pin and how that becomes a symbol of the revolution. So as we know in the books, the pin itself was given to Katniss by Madge. At the time, an acquaintance, and then later becomes her actual friend. And the pin is just, to Katniss, it's just a pin. It's just a Mockingjay. She later sees the significance of the Mockingjay to the capital as a big giant middle finger, F you, because the Mockingjay is truly just the aftermath of the capital not caring about Jabberjays. They were an accident that was never meant to happen on the capital's part. And the Mockingjays have just become the symbol of revolution because they thrived anyway. Against the capital's will, against the capital even trying, Mockingjays thrived. We also see that in the District 13 footage that the capital continues to show the districts of, don't mess with us, we'll burn you to the ground like we did District 13. It's the same footage they're always showing, and people have noticed because of the Mockingjay flying in the corner. So it's different layers to the Mockingjay, but I think the biggest one that's revealed to us in Catching Fire is in this scene where Katniss and Peeta are watching Haymitch's games because they realize Maysilee Donner is the twin sister of Madge's mom. That was a lot. Let's take it back. Katniss spots her mom in the crowd. They draw the name Maysilee Donner. She watches Maysilee hug her mom. And then she also watches Maysilee hug a very familiar woman who she realizes is Madge's mom. And that's when it clicks that, Madge's mom's twin, Maysilee, went into the games. And what is Maysilee's token from home? None other than Katniss's Mockingjay pin, which confirms that this is the pin's at least second time in the Hunger Games when it's on Katniss's shirt. And that just adds so much more of a significance. So I think we're really going to dive into what the Mockingjay is, what the Mockingjay means, and more specifically, how is the capital going to spin the Mockingjay conversation away from the revolution and more into maybe making it an enemy or just completely ignoring it, but taking control of the narrative as the people in the district start to murmur. But no, I'm so excited for this book. There are so many things that could happen. Obviously, I'm not trying to predict anything because we already know so much, but I'm really just going to talk about the different themes and the different things we're going to dive into in this book. But I'm so excited. March 18th, guys, mark your calendars. My fiance is going to read it with me. We're going to read side by side. Oh, I'm so excited. And Suzanne didn't even answer my prayers when it came to a Haymitch book. But if you're out there, Susie C, Phoenix Games is on my dream list. But I would also love a book about the Dark Days. I would love to figure out what happened to Prelude before everything went down. But I'm in a very strong consensus that I do not want any new books after the end of Mockingjay, because this does not need to happen again. I need Katniss and Peeta to be okay and live their happy, long life with their kids with fully curly blonde hair. But I would love some more prequels. That's all. Thanks for tuning in with this one with me, guys. I'm so excited for Sunrise on the Reaping. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What are your theories about Sunrise on the Reaping, Haymitch's story? What do you think? What are you excited for? What are you anticipating? What do you think is going to happen? Do you have any theories yourself? Anything I didn't touch on? Do you agree with what I'm talking about? Do you see the wheels turning of what this story could potentially be? I could also be so wrong. I could be so wrong. And you know what? That's okay. We're here for a good time. We're here for a great time. So please like this video, comment this video, share this video with your friend who is also so excited for Sunrise on the Reaping, and you just can't keep it to yourself, and you guys need to yap about it. And with that, you guys, I'll see you all next time, and happy reading up until March 18th, and then the happiest of readings as we're reading Haymitch's story, but also the saddest because we're all gonna cry.